Question for the people who are out there saying that we need to bring back traditional values. Okay. What are you talking about? Are you talking about back when women couldn't open a bank account without their husband? Or are we talking about when women had more time to bake because they weren't allowed into the workforce? Which traditional values are you talking about?
Which traditional values do you like? Because they're getting mad now. These women are so fired up and twisted and like it all to, be in a bunch because they know, because guys are coming out and now saying things like, I want a woman with traditional values. And they're like, what does that mean? Does that mean that you want me to go back to like the 1950s?
Before we dive in, drop a comment. Are modern men more delusional, or is it the ladies? Hit like and subscribe so you don't miss what we expose next. Here's the thing. Women keep saying they want a traditional man. They dream of a guy who provides, protects, pays the bills, opens every door, and leads with confidence. But when it comes to being a traditional woman, silence. All of a sudden, traditional turns into optional. Let's be real. You can't ask for a man to work 80 hours, shoulder every responsibility, and treat you like a queen while you reject the very qualities that made traditional relationships work. Where's the warmth? Where's the respect? Where's the willingness to build a family instead of chasing endless validation online? The men who built societies, our grandfathers, great-grandfathers, they weren't just providers by accident. They earned that role because women matched their effort with loyalty, care, and appreciation. Today, too many modern women want the benefits without the balance. They crave the security of a 1950s husband while living like a 2025 infant. This is why so many men are quietly walking away. Because respect isn't a one-way street. If you expect a man to be old school, you can't show up with new school entitlement. Bring back the women who are appreciative, friendly, and respectful, and you'll see the men you claim don't exist come running back.
If you won the lottery?
Yes, I won the lottery.
I would take half of it.
Okay.
And then I'd leave you, never talk to you again, and live on a private island by myself.
Okay, that's creepy. So what if I were to tell you that I've won the lottery and it was a scratcher and I won $40? So here's half. And how about you?
This guy is a king for how he handled this situation. Think about it. He saw the red flags early and actually listened to them. Better to walk away now before vows, mortgages, and children tie him to a woman who only sees relationships as a personal gain. Too many men ignore those warning signs. They convince themselves she changed, that the selfish behavior is just a phase. But once the papers are signed and kids are involved, that's when reality hits and family court doesn't care about his heartbreak or his bank account. Here's the hard truth. Modern dating rewards men who set boundaries and punish those who don't. A man who knows his worth protects his future before emotions trap him. And that's exactly what this brother just did. He saved himself from years of financial stress, legal battles, and emotional burnout by recognizing that a woman acting like a selfish child isn't partner material. Men, pay attention. The earlier you spot the entitlement, the less damage you'll face later. This isn't bitterness, it's wisdom.
In here can be considered traditional women. And back then, an average guy could get a traditional woman. And now what does he get? He gets a boss bitch, a boss babe, a girl that's been ran through. He gets an ex-hoe. He gets a born-again virgin. Like,
what do I get?
As women, this is what do we get? We still get protection and provisioning.
Are you sure?
And the average salary, the average,
not.
I mean, okay. Here's the thing. The average salary could cover an apartment. But the thing is, like, women, we want this lifestyle that's not even realistic nowadays. Like, we want men that make more than we do. And we want them to pay all of the bills. But it's like, we all have our nails done. We have, we get our hair dyed. We have makeup. We have all of this stuff that costs money because we want this lifestyle. And I've had girls come on my show and I say, would you date an average guy for companionship? But you would have to go down in lifestyle. And they say,
Facts. Traditional men want traditional women. Dan, the reverse is just as true. The problem is, people act like these types no longer exist, but they do. They're just not posting thirst traps on Instagram or lining up shots at the club every weekend. See, the loudest voices online make it look like modern dating is nothing but chaos. But in reality, the women who still value respect, loyalty, and family, they're usually off the grid. They're building their careers quietly, nurturing their communities, or preparing for marriage in ways that don't trend on TikTok. And the men who actually want to lead, provide, and protect, they're not chasing random validation at the bar either. They're at the gym, at work, stacking their money, or serving their communities. That's why they don't seem to exist, because the club scene and hookup culture have become the loud stage where delusion gets all the attention. The truth is, traditional men and women are still out there. They're just harder to find because they're not advertising themselves like a brand. You won't meet them where dysfunction is normalized. You'll meet them where values are lived out. And here's the kicker. The people who complain the loudest about not finding good men or good women, they're usually searching in all the wrong places.
Businesses that men start for their wives so they don't cheat. You know, you send her to the gym, she might F the personal trainer. We tend to think we're more important than we are. We take more credit for what we do. Ego gets too big. They bring a bunch of drama to the relationship. You know, they're single friends full of drama, create issues in the marriage.
It's just not worth it. Too many modern women see relationships like a subscription service useful only while the perks keep flowing. They don't see men as human beings with needs, dreams, and limits. To them, a man is an ATM, a free Uber, a therapist on call, and a safety net until something better comes along. And here's the sad part. A lot of guys don't even notice it happening. They mistake attention for affection. They confuse convenience with commitment. Once the money slows down or the man starts asking for respect, the mask slips. Suddenly, she's gone because it was never about love, it was about leverage. This isn't every woman, but it's a growing trend that men can't afford to ignore. If she treats you like a resource instead of a partner, believe what she's showing you. Withdraw your time, your money, and your energy, because a relationship without loyalty isn't a partnership. It's a transaction.
I don't want to have kids. I just want to live alone and live selfishly. I promise you that, especially as a woman, you will find the most fulfillment in finding a man that will settle down with you, protect you, provide for you. And I'm telling you this, I say it in a harsh way online all the time, but it's honestly for your own good. I really do believe that. And I think that society too much is telling women that you don't need this.
A word of advice for every man watching this. Listen closely. Do not settle down with a woman who spent years living the wild and free lifestyle and now suddenly wants a quiet, stable relationship. Here's why. People build habits. If her entire dating history was about excitement, endless options, and constant attention, that mindset doesn't disappear just because she says she's ready to settle. Marriage isn't a reset button. It's a magnifier. Whatever patterns she built in her single years will show up again when the spark fades or life gets tough. This isn't about shaming the past. It's about respecting the power of it. Men who ignore a woman's relationship history often end up shocked when those old habits resurface, especially when boredom sets in or temptation knocks. If a woman wants a serious man, she should have been serious long before he arrived. Loyalty isn't a costume you can put on after the party ends. So fellas, protect your future. Don't invest your life in someone who only decided to value commitment after exhausting every other option.
Stop overvaluing marriage and kids as a starter pack. Oh, so marriage and kids, that's a starter pack to you. That's just not nice. Joyful marriages and children. We live in a society that wants you single, fat, broke, and childless, and you're adding to that with your $49.99 donation of apathy. Ask these women where they see themselves in 5 years professionally and personally. For myself, hopefully, I will have 2 biological children, 1 adopted child, and I'll be raising them, which is just as valuable as if I got a PhD or if I was making 6 figures. It matters just as much, and for me personally, it matters more. So how dare you degrade married women who want to reproduce and do a good thing for society? You're a problem. And the fertility stats show that you're a problem as well, because 50.1% of women in the UK are childless by age 30. This is unprecedented, and most women want to have kids. So thank you for the $49.99 of coping.
She wasn't saying that all women should have children. Let's be clear on that. What she was actually doing was calling out the hypocrisy of those women who shame others for wanting to embrace motherhood. Think about it. There's this loud narrative today that women must delay, deny, or even reject traditional roles in order to empower themselves. And if someone dares to want children, suddenly they're painted as old-fashioned, unambitious, or weak. That's not empowerment, it's judgment disguised as modernity. She was pushing back against that narrative, saying, no, wanting to nurture and raise a family doesn't make you less of a woman or less capable. It's about choice, respect, and reclaiming agency over what women really want, instead of letting social pressure dictate the story. The bigger picture, society keeps trying to force everyone into extremes, either career first, no attachment lifestyles, or strict traditional roles. But the truth is, women can and do want both love, family, and personal fulfillment. Calling out the critics isn't anti-feminist. It's just a reminder that respect and choices should never come with hypocrisy.